Hello, everyone. Could you hear me well? Can you give a yes if you can hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, hello and welcome to our final session of AP Data Science in this semester. And today's topic is about data presentation with Tableau dashboard. And let me go on to the agenda of today's session. So in the first part today, you will continue on with Tableau training, and you will learn how to create your own dashboard. And in the part two, we will talk. We will have a guest speaker from Google Singapore. And since today is our final session, we will have some important information that we want to announce to you. So today we will have part three also. Um, Okay, let's go on to the hands-on workshop with Tableau dashboard with me.
Hello everyone. Today, for the Tableau session, I would like to introduce to you how to create dashboard after having created the visualization with your data. Before starting, I want to make sure that can everyone open the file that we have sent, or everyone finished creating the chart that we have have given the instructions in the emails. If so, is there anyone having the problem? If you have, please raise maybe do a thumbs up or saying yes, and I'll wait for about like 5 to 3 minutes so that you can prepare the charts for today's session. While waiting, I will go through the charts so that maybe you guys can compare the charts that you have made with mine and to see whether there's any like difference. The first one is the sales by segment, which we already sent the instruction as that a pie chart with the sum of sales and the size and the customer segment in size and angle. Um, if you don't have the label, then you can also drag the customer segment into a label like me. The second chart is the sales by region, which is a bar chart with the sum of sales in column, the country and region in rows, and the sum of profit in color, sorted by the country and region in the descending order here. And the last chart is a scatter plot with the sum of sales in column, the sum of profit in row, and lastly is the customer segment in color and the category and details. So I hope that everyone already finished creating your chart or maybe opening the table file that we have prepared for you before a session. Uh, okay, so I will start introducing to you about the dashboard. Here's a completed dashboard that I have made before a session. So when you're ready to bring together views in your analysis or maybe share them with others, then it's time for you to build a dashboard. In Tableau, not only dashboard, but you can also build something called story. Uh, Okay, I received a message in the chat saying that the requested workbook doesn't exist on Tableau Public. So the things that you should do right now is that maybe you should check your email, and in the email that we send a data set for you to connect to a new Tableau file so that you can follow in instructions and create the 3 charts. So yeah, right now I'm just going over the theory. So maybe in the meantime, you can prepare the charts with the data sets that we have provided. Okay, so going back, not only the dashboard, but you can also build something called a story. Called a story in Tableau, which can be understood as like a folder of the dashboards. However, for small projects, a dashboard is enough. Here, we already have in the completed dashboard, we already have the 3 views analyzing the sales of the orders from the Superstore dataset that we have sent you in the email in this tweetbook file. These views can be combined into one dashboard. This is okay. Let's look at the preview, and you have in my preview, and in the left hand side, you will see that not only the dashboard, but you also find the dashboard editing panes. The dashboard contains the content that we want to collectively analyze and share. For example, you made 7 charts, but only want to deliver 3 of them, which are the most valuable charts and content rich to your audience. So in the editing panes, it provides the tools for building and editing the dashboard. Uh, let's look at the editing pane. I will go over from the most upper part and then go to the lower part in the editing panes. Okay, so first one, you have the device preview button. Well, this button allows you to see what your dashboard would look like on certain device. Uh, the last time in the first session of Tableau, I downloaded the winning viz from the Tableau competition, but actually I made several changes to it because the default did not look right on my computer. You can click and unclick the button to open and close the preview. Under the size, you can click the drop-down menu to see the sizing options. You have the fixed size, automatic, and range, and also a range of options of devices that you can choose. For me, I usually use the laptop browser, but for maybe for designers or for anyone using PC, then maybe generic desktop or the desktop browser would be more suitable for you when doing the vids. So listed under the size, you have the sheets. These are the sheets names of the views in this workbook that you can use to build your dashboard. And listed under the sheets are the objects. In the objects, you have the containers such as like images, text, export, extension, or the web page that can be added to your dashboard. Each object on a dashboard can use one of 2 types of layouts that you can see here, which is the tile or floating. The tile objects are arranged in a single layer grid, and the objects snap into place as they move around the dashboard. For floating, the floating objects can be freely moved on the dashboard and layered on top of other objects. And lastly, as the show dashboard titles, you can clicking show dashboard title will show or hide your dashboard title. For example, in my case, I have the title here as the sales dashboard. If I uncheck this one, then the title will disappear. Okay, so the next, other than the editing panes, I will introduce the layout tab. For a layout tab, uh, it shows the layout of the panels. All of the items in the dashboard are listed here. For example, I have the sales data. In the lower part, there is something called the item hierarchy, showing the items of the dashboard that I have. Uh, uh, Under the objects, you can see all their floating objects and also any tile objects listed in a hierarchy. In this case, I only use the tile object, so that's the reason we only see the tile here. You can also incrementally adjust the position and size using the settings that provided by Tableau. You can also choose to show title to revert the object from floating to tile or vice versa. Okay, now that you have seen where dashboards are built, I would like to start make a new one. Uh, Before starting, is everyone ready to make the dashboard? Have you finished creating all the charts? Okay, I think that everyone already done with the chart, so let's start. So to open a new dashboard in the tool pane you can see here, let's click the second button, which is to create a new dashboard. Let's rename this tab to Sales Dashboard. Sales Dashboard. By clicking it and type the name that you want. For me, I think it's a really good idea to choose the size of the dashboard before working so that we can know how much space that we have to work with. I will go back to the dashboard editing panes, and in the size, I will choose the laptop browser with a fixed size. You can choose whatever size that you want, but for me, I feel most comfortable with the laptop browser. Uh, Other size, you click the drop-down menu to see the sizing options, and you can set either manually or choose the default option. It's also a really good idea to to show the dashboard title. So let's check the box at the bottom. This brings in the title that we gave to the dashboard by default and creates a container for all the text that we might want to add to the title. The next thing is that we can add views by dragging them to the dashboard in the desired positions. For example, I drag the sales by segment and sales by segment. Each view brings in its own legends and filter, as you can see here in your right-hand side. You can delete the filter if you don't want your audience interact with it, or simply if it's not necessary to have. But in this case, I advise you to keep it like this. When you find the ideal placement, just release the view to add it. For me, I would first drag sales by segment and then the sales by region at the very bottom of the view. Lastly is the plot of sales. As you can see here, the sales by segment is not really fit to our visualization. So I will choose the sales by segment. And then when you click the sales by segment, you see an arrow here, and the tooltip appears that has the label, which is more option. You click it, And in the drop-down menu, you choose Fit and choose the entire view. This will help you to fit your visualization within the box. If you think that is necessary, you can do the same thing with the plot of sales. I would do the same things with the plot of writing in the entire view. Now that you have 3 views in your dashboard, I will go back to the completed one. As you can see here, when I interact in the completed one, it reviews there's a filter and other visualizations showing how the statistics change when we choose each segment. So how to do it? We will use filters and legends to add some interactivity. After building the dashboard, we will want to make sure legends and filters being arranged in a place that makes sense. For example, this legends for sale is, I will go back to the one that we have made. For example, the legends for sale is not necessary, so you can remove it by clicking the X button. You can also change the position of the legends by clicking the drop-down menu. And then you choose arrange items. But for me, I feel good with this one. In today's session, I will introduce a type of interactivity that is most common in Tableau, which is to use a view as a filter. Well, this means that the marks that you selected in one view will filter the result in other views in your dashboard. For example, like this one. When you choose the mark and sales segment, it will act as a filter in other visualizations. Actually, it's pretty easy to do or to make a filter with a specific instruction. But when it comes to your real visualization, things will make you confusing easily. So as I always advise, you should question yourself about the data, understand your data, and then visualize it will be the last step. On the sales of segment view, I will click it and choose the third button in the toolbar, and the tooltip tells it that its function is to use as a filter. Now you can test your filter by clicking it and have a preview. Our filter worked perfectly. Another way to allow users to do down under the data they want to see is to set a filter card so that it applies to more than one view. On okay. There's some technical problem here. I think that I'm having some technical problem, but I want to check that is in your dashboard, do you have the region filter in your legend? So basically, it's supposed to have the region filter in your legend. Well, another way to allow users is to drill down under the data they want to see is to set a filter card so that it applies to more than one view. On a region filter, you can click it and choose the options in the drill down menu. As you can see here, when you choose apply to worksheets, it's showing that the filter or the data and the plot of sales only apply to only this worksheet. In order to apply it to multiple worksheets, you choose all using this data source. This means that we can now filter the entire dashboard through this filter. For example, you can see the sales by segment and the plot of only LATAM and EMEA. And then your visualizations will show only the data that you want to see. And we have successfully created a basic dashboard on Tableau with level 1 interactivity. In Tableau, you can add a lot more types of interactivity, such as adding a legend highlight, adding an URL, tooltip, or many more. But due to a time limitation, that will be saved for later. For now, you have successfully created a sales dashboard having two types of interactivities, which is to set a filter card and also to use a view as a filter. That's the end of today's sessions with Tableau. Tang, do you want to say something?
Okay. Thank you, Jamie, for your workshop. And actually, we sent the instruction on how to make the chart, your email, like in a reply to the ID of today's session. Could you check your email one more time? Those who haven't found that. And so now we have with you 3 or 4 minutes break after we move on to our second part of today's session. So we will get back to you at 8. So it's already 8 p.m. and I hope everyone came from 5 minute break. So let's go on to the second part of today's session. And I am so excited to introduce our guest speaker to you today. And she was an APU student and currently working at Google in Singapore. And I believe that we will learn a lot from her experience and especially her journey from APU to one of the top companies like Google. So please welcome Miss Nguyễn Phương Nhi. Miss Nhi, are you there?
Hi, hello. Sorry, I couldn't hear you just now. Hello, can you hear me?
Well, I just introduced you to our members today. So I think you will share with our members about your working experience and also about your journey from APU to one of the top companies like Google. So please share your experience with our members today. Maybe we can
Okay.
start from the first question, or you want to you want to pick a question to start from, or I will ask you a
Oh,
question.
all right. I think I will just start with the introduction first, so you guys know my background and everything, and then we can dive into the questions. So, my name is Nhi. I graduated from APU 2 years ago, 2018 September. So it has been nearly 2 years. I was an APM student, majored in marketing, international management marketing. Um, then previously, obviously, like I was in Vietnam, then I came to Japan, and then I kind of escaped Japan and came to Singapore. Now I'm based in Singapore. I've been working for 2 years. So I started working before I graduated. Previously, I was at Dentsu. I'm not sure if you guys heard of Dentsu. Dentsu is the number one advertising agency in Japan. Yeah, I work in Dentsu in Singapore. After that, I just switched to Google early June this year. So this month is my second month at Google. Yeah, so that's basically about me. Just feel free to type any question in the chat if you have in the meantime. Or else I will just start with the question that I received from you guys. Is it okay?
Cool.
Okay, no question. Okay,
So
sure.
maybe you can start with the question list that I sent you.
Okay, sure. Okay, so the first question is, how is it like working at Google? Actually, I would say like it's very early for me to make a sound judgment now, but so far the experience has been like phenomenal. It's the best ever that I have ever experienced, and I would say like you shouldn't start your first job at Google because it will spoil you. It will spoil you definitely. This is the best place, like literally the best place to work for. And after that, if you happen to shift to any other company, you will kind of like get that disappointment for sure. So I jumped from Dentsu to Google, and I see the big difference. It doesn't mean that Dentsu was bad. It's actually a very big stepping stone for me, and it was an amazing environment for me to form who I am today to be able to join Google. But in terms of the culture and the environment, the people, the learning curve, everything about them, the benefit, everything, it's just very great. And you always get the support from anyone that you just happen to encounter, that you just happen to know. And you know, Google is the company is super big, so you will never run out of things to learn. You will never run out of people to meet. The learning curve is very steep. There are a lot of like opportunity for you in anywhere around the world. So even if like you start at Google in Japan, a few years down the line, you can go to Japan to Google in Singapore, or even like Madrid or so. So I would say like working at Google is like has been very great to me. You get a lot of support from everyone around you, and they really care about two things about your career path. What do you like really want to do with your career? Second is your personal development and your well-being. Well-being here is like really about your well-being, meaning that do you feel happy? Are you healthy? Do you have like a good personal life? Is your family supported? Those kind of things that you never expect a company to like would take care of you. Google would actually do that thing, like would go extra miles to take care of that. So I would say that's the life working at Google. Does any question? Just like feel free to chat or jump in if you have like additional on top of this question. Okay. Okay.
I think
so,
Hussein has a question for you. Hussein, can you unmute and ask her?
Yeah, thank you very much. Neil, it's been wonderful to have you with us. It's been great to see that you are working for Google. My question is like, how was your journey from APU to Google? I like how you defined it, and how was the journey to before landing to Google?
right. That's a very good question. Okay, it's a long journey, but I will try to make it short. I would say that I start working at Google at a very young age. So like just to let you know, I'm still in my 20s. So people will say like it's still very early, but the journey to me is pretty long, and it will be the same for like for everyone. They would like start with so many different like different companies before they end up in Google. So personally, my story is so I came to Singapore to start with an internship in a startup company. Then after that, I just jumped to Dentsu for an internship. So over there, when I was doing internship in Google, in Dentsu, it was media planning. So it's all about like advertising, everything. And I think this is a very great industry if you want to get like exposure to big companies, big tech company like Facebook, Google, Yahoo, all those like big tech company. Because you know that like the main revenue is from ads, right? So during the time that I was at Dentsu, I had a lot of opportunity to be at Google and Facebook for training because of the close relationship, because of the partnership that Google and the agency have actually. Then after that, I kind of like build leadership with a lot of people and like build my own knowledge as well. So I would say like knowledge is very important thing, and then you kind of like build your passion for the like the path, the industry, like because a lot of people, if they don't have passion, then you cannot really show you are willing to learn, right? So I think that's a very important point. Then early this year, I got very lucky. So just to give you a background, I applied to Google many times, and I know for sure that they didn't even scan through my resume. So one tip is that if you know anyone in Google, having a referral would be very helpful. First of all, it doesn't guarantee you a job in Google, but it guarantees that the HR, they will read your resume. So that's the first big step. As long as they read your resume and it's like recorded in the system, then you have higher chance to be like hired by Google. Then so I got referred by a friend who I met through a friend. So it's a mutual friend. I was not very close to her, but like there's this opportunity open, and then she reached out to me, and at the same time I was applying for that position. So I was very lucky in that way. So when I went for the interview, something about Google is that which is very different from other company. I think along the way you realize that is that Google, besides your knowledge, right, they really value your mindset, and they value like the way that you process the problems and solution, how you approach a problem, and your perspective on certain areas, like how progressive you are, how challenging you are, how adaptive you are to the environment. Why? Because Google, is changing every single day. So they don't expect you to have a wide knowledge, because the next day, that like the knowledge that you have might change already, because it's changing every single day. So they kind of look for that value within every individual candidate. So yeah, then I kind of like did a lot of research on them, and did a lot of practice with my friends as well, and try to gather a lot of information, comments, even on pages like Facebook, Reddit, how they went through all the interviews and such. And I nailed the interview, and I know a lot of people, even when they got referred to the company, they couldn't pass through the first interview. So when you reach the part where you already have the interview, like land on the interview, just try to take it slow and do a lot of research and be yourself. Yeah, so that's kind of like my path, how I graduated from ABU, then ended up here.
So just thank you so much for your elaborative answer. Just a following question, just I cannot hold myself. What will be your suggestion for the graduate student and also for the student in GSM who are having a desire or a dream to land in Google with a job? What one or two things that we need to focus more?
Okay, so as a graduate student, as in like if you don't have any working experience, right? So I'm just gonna tell you a very down to earth, very realistic fact, right? You don't have experience enough. Like the experience that you have is not up to the level that they expected. So I'm talking from the perspective of a company, like the companies in Singapore. For Japan, I'm not really sure, because I didn't do job hunting in Japan. So I think they might look for different things. But from my perspective is right, they know for sure that your knowledge and your experience might not be sufficient. So what they really look for is in your what did you do that you make yourself outstanding. But it doesn't mean that if you didn't do anything like outstanding from other people, you won't get a chance. No, it's not like that. It's like how you tell the story. So for example, just a very simple story, but you show them that, okay, this is what I learned from the story, this is what the moral story, the value that I extract from that story. So how you present yourself is really important. And what is more important is that you show them that you have the spirit and you have the mindset to learn more. Like, okay, I don't know anything about Excel, but I know for sure that I can learn, because like, I don't know, like in uni, I study finance, and then I kind of like use it like very often. I Google it, blah, blah, blah. So I think like in the real job, like in the real scenario, I will adapt and learn, like acquire new skill for Excel. So it doesn't it's more about your mindset, whether that you want to learn or not, to show them that I can do it. I will try to learn, and I'm ready for the challenge. Yeah, so I think that's more important.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay. I saw a question from Dash. How is the application procedure, considering that it must be different from a typical Japanese recruitment system? I'm still new, so that will you suggest when we start job hunting? Okay, I can answer the first question, but the second question, I think you yourself will be the one that can make a sound judgment. So I will answer the second question first, which is like what would you suggest when we start job hunting? So honestly speaking, from my experience, my batch and other batches as well, I see each people, they have different timeline. For example, when I was doing internship in Singapore, everyone else already got a job offer in Japan. I didn't have any job offer at that time. But to this point, 2 years later, when I'm working in Google, people are like shifting around and they still doing job that is not I would say like it's not worth your time in university. You know, you study 4 years in university, not just to be working in some restaurant serving people. Unless you like like if it's your passion, then it's fine. But like if you have the knowledge and the skill to advance, then don't stop there. Don't like settle down for that kind of job. So I would suggest like just start first. It doesn't mean like, oh, 2 years later, no, like 2 months later, 1 month later, I get the job. No, you have to start. Then after a while, after you get the hang of it, you understand, okay, this is the procedure. I know what my strengths, I know like what my like weaknesses. Then after that, you will kind of like identify, okay, I can apply for this company, and this took, for example, like 1 month. So you have to start to understand the scenario. After that, you can judge what is the ideal timeline for you. And don't my advice on this is that, I know it's very cliche, but don't look at your peers. Don't have the peer pressure. Everyone has different timeline. So they may succeed now, but 2 years later, maybe they will end up in a different path that is not very ideal. Or you will start in a job that you're not very satisfied with. But 2 years later, you never know that you will be in a position that you really, really love. Okay, so just do everything at your own pace, but remember to start. Don't think like, oh, this is too hard, or this is I cannot get it, blah, blah, blah. No, don't like try to like delete those kind of thoughts out of your mind. Just have to start first. Okay. The first question is, how is the application procedure, considering that it must be different from typical Japanese recruitment system? Okay, yes. So I went through a lot of interviews in Singapore, so I would say like it's quite different. I did job hunting 1 or twice, like for one or two companies in Japan. And honestly speaking, the difference is in Singapore, they care more about what is in your brain, meaning what is your mindset, what is your knowledge, what is your experience and such. However, in Japan, they care more about how you for example, if you walk into a room, you have to bow first. You have to have like certain like action that is, or else, or like certain ways that you dress, or else that you will, they will deduct your mark or whatsoever, which I think won't happen in Singapore. What they really care is the content of yourself, of your resume. So I think that's the difference. In terms of the procedure, I would say like procedure is not that different anywhere around the world. You will have to like apply for the job, then they will go through the screening interview with the HR. Then if you pass the screening interview, they will go for a few rounds of like face-to-face interview, and then they will decide whether you want to whether they want to hire you or not. So I think the procedure is basically the same. It's just the content is very, very different. Yeah. So yeah. So I think any other question, or else I can move on to the next question. Okay, I will take it as a no. So I will move on to the next question. How to apply for jobs in big tech companies? Okay, I think this is a very vague and broad question. It depends on what type of job that you want to apply for. And my answer wouldn't be the perfect answer. It's just like from my own experience. So my way of like workaround to get into Google is that, so I started with advertising. I love advertising. I love marketing, advertising, and that's what I started with Dentsu. So Dentsu really gave me a very strong background. about the industry knowledge and then like the soft skill that I need to acquire. Then yeah, so after I got that like basic knowledge or like very rich knowledge and expertise, it gave me a better position to apply for big companies like Facebook and Google. However, there are more than just that. So in my current position, there are people, they are from different they are from different industry. For example, like consulting, finance, like completely different industry, and they still do the job that I'm doing. So they didn't know anything about advertising. So again, back to my previous answer, right? What I think that Google and I think Facebook as well really look into you is that whether you have that ability to adapt, like adaptability and the growth mindset. Okay, because even though I know a lot about the industry, but let's say if I'm someone who doesn't like to learn, I think that I know everything already, and I like to settle down. I don't want to learn new things and explore more than the people in finance and consulting. After 1 year, they will exceed me, right? Because they will learn more, they will know more about me, and then their learning capability might be as equal or higher than me. So that's why Google and Facebook and big tech company, they really want to hire people with that mindset. So practice on that mindset first. I think this one will stick step by step. Just do like one small step first. Try to go out of your comfort zone, or if like you said like you don't want to take risk, it's fine. I think like just take one more step. For example, like you plan to go for example, if you are someone who is very introvert, you don't want to meet new people, you're very shy, it's okay, then just meet 2 people first. Then a few weeks later, try to arrange another like similar meetings. After a while, you get used to it, and then you kind of like adopt that mindset. So that's the first thing about mindset. Second is that your skills. So I would say like there are certain skills that you shouldn't underestimate. For example, like using PowerPoint, using Excel, those things that you said like, oh, this one is like very ad hoc, very not so important. Actually, it's very important. When I was in Dentsu, right, I was using Excel 80% of my time with data, everything on data. And after that, what is very good about Excel is that you can manipulate data. So those small skill that you think, oh, it's not important, it's actually very important, and it like sets you out. It makes you outstanding. So don't ignore the skill like that you think is not important. And probably if you have time, you can search for example, like, oh, this is the top skill that this company requires. For example, like coding, SQL, or like data visualization and those kind of things. So you just need to have like take 1 or 2 courses to get to get an idea of it. You don't need to be an expert in it. Like there are a lot of experts, and then you will be the expert on the job. But just to get the idea of it, what is it about? And let them know like, hey, you know, actually I was interested in that, and then I took a course in that, and then like I really like it. I really want to contribute to your company with the existing knowledge that I have. So I think that was really sets you out. Hope that answered your question. Okay. Okay. If there's no other question on this, I will move on to the next one. How to perform in a companies like Google? What are the KPIs? So this one, it depends on the team that you are in. So my team is a sales team, global customer solution. So in sales, we don't do only sales. We there's a phrase that I really like, and they repeat many times in Google, is that a salesperson, you should position yourself as a consultant, not a salesperson. And I think this is true not only in Google, but it should be applied to across all the sales role. But I think this is what makes Google really different from other company, is that they understand the need of the need of the users. They respect, they understand, and they really want to help. Like seriously want to help. you know, a lot of things that Google, they just do for free, but it's purely out of helping other people. Because really we really care about the users. So in terms of the KPI, how to perform is right. First of all, you need to understand the company's value, the core values. Then after that, try to align yourself according to that value. For example, respect. So respect is let's say is a very basic, like the core value. So when you talk to the client, you really like respect their information, their needs. You try to understand what they need, and how you position yourself is that, okay, I'm here to help you, I'm here to help your business, and I respect whatever decision you have, and I'm here to make your business and your life better. So try to align your value with the company's value. And about sales, so everyone thinks that sales is about numbers. As long as you get more revenue, you hit the KPI. Of course, yes, that's true. However, in Google, there's another KPI on top of that. So there are two factors to this. One is what, and second is how. What is the number that I mentioned just now is the number. So the number is very obvious, right? Like if you hit the number, then you hit the number. There's nothing else that you need to justify. However, the how here is that when you achieve that number, is it sustainable? Let's say like if client, they spend with you 10% more. So that spend, is it sustainable? Are they gonna keep the same spend? Are they gonna keep the same volume over a longer period? So they will try to evaluate whether the way that we pitch to client, the way that we build relationship with client, whether it's like is good, is like sustainable, and is value to client and to ourselves, which I think is really amazing. Because like some people, they just like do everything they can to get the number, but they don't really care about how people feel, like whether they really want to do it, and whether that increment really helps the business. But Google, they think about it. They think about how you do it, whether it's sustainable or not, and value and valuable to yourself, to the company, and to the client. So I would say that are the two main KPI that I need, like for myself in my team, that I need to hit: the what and the how. Yeah. So any other question on this one?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I have a question again. As I've been spent most of my career in sales, so that's why I've got a question. Can I?
Sure.
Okay. My question is like normally when I do sales, like we care about a lot of short-term sales planning. But I want to know like how do you do your sales forecast and sales plan in Google?
Sales forecast. Okay, so I assume that you were talking about the time period, right? The forecast, how we forecast everything, right?
Yeah, like what kind of assumption you consider? How do you make it sustainable? And what are the tools you use to present to the management about your sales forecast and necessary KPIs right after a certain period?
Right. So in terms of the tool, there's internal tool that I really cannot tell you about, but I can describe
Sure.
like like I can describe how it works and such. Sorry, I will just combine my answer all together.
Please ignore whatever you cannot expose. It's a general question, so just tell whatever you can expose. No worries.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so how we forecast is right. So I think you asked this question because there are times like this in the pandemic, whereby like we cannot foresee and such. So how do we forecast and such, right? So I would say like it's very similar to other company, whereby like they will base on the past numbers, and they will do some like market research and such to see like what is the market growth. It depends on the market as well. So for example, my market, like the market that I'm covering is Vietnam. They will see like, okay, this is the vertical that is growing. So how much, like what is the growth in the past few quarters or months? So it depends on the period that they will choose. But in Google, it's based on quarter. So they will see that, and after that, after they have that kind of like rough estimation of the growth rate by vertical or such, like it depends on the program as well. Okay, but that's roughly the methodology. After that, they will forecast in the next quarter. Okay, and then on top of that, besides the like the spend, the revenue, what we have is the solution adoption. So same methodology, they will say, like, okay, in this quarter, 10% adopted. And then like the growth from the previous quarter, let's say, is like 20%. So in the next quarter, we will kind of like mark it up, for example, like from 10% to 20%. Okay, so I think that's how like the methodology that they use. And in terms of the tool, we have an internal tool whereby we will record all the performance of each person, and the like the sales revenue, the changes of each of the client's account. And honestly, I don't have the exact answer on how they group everything and such, but my assumption is that in Google, we like kind of like divide it by like revenue or like vertical, like there are multiple ways of like for them to identify. So they will kind of like have that grouping, like bucketing, and then they will do the forecast based on that group. So they don't do forecast on everything, because like different client will have different like nature, different business needs. And then the like for example, like if in hospitality, during this period is very tough, right? So we cannot have the same forecast as in food and beverage, right? So they will kind of like take all those like those things into consideration. So that's how they kind of like do the forecast. And yeah, based on the past experience and then the market trend in that market. Yeah, then another thing that they really look into is that, for example, like during this pandemic thing, obviously we cannot hit the KPI anywhere around, we cannot hit the KPI. So instead of that having having that KPI, they switch it off, they have a new KPI. So the KPI here is helping the client. So okay, so this one is not measurable. It's not. It's just about like customers' story, success, and such. Like how you help the customer and how you develop a way. For example, like your pitching way, your like how like what solution that you provide to client and how it helped the client. So it's not something measurable, but it's like a different KPI for us during this period. Yeah. So I would say like Facebook and Google, they are flexible, but at the same time, they are very systematic.
Nee, thank you so much. I have like bunch of more questions to ask you, but I'm sure everybody in the class want to ask you questions. Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
No issue. Okay, I hope that clear for you. Okay, so I will move on to the next question. Okay, the next question is what should be the most must-learn skill for an undergraduate student if he or she wants to pursue a career in big tech companies? I think I kind of like mentioned this one before. Honestly, I don't have the exact answer for you, because in a big tech company, what do you want to do in a big tech company? Do you want to do sales? Do you want to do engineer? Or do you want to do like even the consultant is very different? So it depends on what role that you're looking at. That will have a different kind of like platform or skill set that you need. But I must say, like in this role, or maybe you guys already like notice, everything must be transferable. And if you don't, or let's say like, okay, previously when I was in Dentsu, I was not doing sales at all. I was not a salesperson, but in this current job, I am a salesperson. This is my first time ever doing sales. However, I'm very confident. Why? Because in Dentsu previously, I work with client directly. So when I was in the interview, I know the job requirement of the interview. I know that, okay, I need to learn about the platform, which I did. I had like the skill set on that. Then they asked like, oh, a salesperson. Okay, I never did sales before. So how do I tell stories about me having the skill set of a salesperson, even though I've never do any sales before? So I think it's kind of like what you really want to do, and try to understand the job description that you are looking at and the job, like the career path that you are looking at. Identify the skill set first, and then try to align it, try to adopt it along the way. Don't need to focus too much on one and like, okay, I must learn this, I must learn this. For example, SQL. the most typical example. A lot of people are learning SQL now. So even now you said like, oh, I probably like there's some reason that I cannot learn SQL. Like I want to learn, like I don't have the money to pay, no one to teach me, or I cannot like self-learn this. So what you can do is you will see that SQL actually they functions in a very similar way of Excel. It's just it's an like advanced level of Excel. So what you can do first, start with Excel. Excel is right on your laptop, right? And then you can search for it. You can ask people, hey, do you have any project that I don't know, like requires Excel, doing some Excel or such, or like doing in in an intern, you can ask them as well. So you're trying to master yourself in Excel. After that, after like you think, okay, I master at Excel already. Now I'm gonna learn SQL. So during this time, you will find that when you learn SQL, it will be much easier. And or during that, for example, when you went for an interview and then you don't have SQL yet, you can tell the interviewer that actually I'm quite good with Excel, and I understand that Excel is very similar to SQL, so I don't mind joining a course for SQL if the companies offer or like allow me to take on this course. I think it will be transferable skill for me. So something like that, like something along that line. You don't need to exactly focus on that skill, but try to find something that you can do first and slowly transfer it, slowly find a way to move around. Yeah. So I don't have the answer to that question. What is the must learn skill? It really depends on what career path that you are looking at. Okay, any question on this? All right. Okay. So I think I will move on to the last question. How to make a persuasive presentation using data. So data is something that is very powerful that I really love, that I didn't know that I love it until I start with Dentsu. Something is super powerful. So I think it's a very good initiative that you guys have here. So how to make a persuasive presentation, right? So in Google, if you know already, Google is all about data. Everything is about data, and we have a lot of data, but how do we make use of it? So you have to think, okay, when you have data, what do you want to do with it? You just want to see, like sit and look at it? Like what do you want to get out of it, right? So you, first of all, you need to think of the stakeholder that you are talking to. Let's say you are talking to your boss. So you have to make it like you have to turn the data into something that is actionable. Okay, so I have a graph like this. I have a whole chunk of graph or like a whole like big data within Excel. I need to like clean it up. I need to turn it into a like a graph or whatsoever. Then when you look into the graph, right, you need to identify, okay, what is the next action point? What do I learn from this data? For example, you learn that, during morning, people use less mobile phone. For example, just an example, I don't know. So in this case, we shouldn't advertise on mobile in morning because there are less people using this, right? So this is something that you need to extract out of the data. When you read the data, you need to extract a story out of it. You need to tell a story out of it. And then after that, what is the next step? So here in my next step is that I won't advertise on mobile in the morning. So that's the next step. So to make a persuasive presentation using data is that you need to have a narrative, like a storyline to tell your boss or your client, like, okay, this is the story and this is the action point. So that's like an example of how you can talk to your boss and such, right? And to link to this one, when you talk to your client, for example, like the next stakeholder is your client, they don't know anything about data. When you like send to them, okay, increase by 120%. So what does that mean, right? Or where does it coming from? I don't get it. Like where is the spike? I don't get where this coming from. So you have to tell them a story. A story can be like, okay, this is the background, this is the context, okay, of a story. After that, this is what you did. For example, like they run this campaign. or they run this or whatsoever, like test or experiment. After experiment, this is the impact. This is the impact on like what are the changes when you compare to the first contact. After you see the context, you will tell them, and this is what I learned. This is what you can apply in your next campaign, in your next experiment. So client, they want to hear those things. They don't really care how much increment I get in, like, I don't know, clicks and such. Or I think the only thing they care about is like how much increase in their revenue. That's it. That's the only number that they care about. But how much increment in like budget, in clicks, blah blah blah, they don't care. They just want to know that what is the next action point and how does it affect their business. So I think depends on the stakeholder that you're talking to. Some people, they are very well versed in your industry, but some people, they don't know anything. They don't know anything about tech, whatever, like whatever terms you're using, they don't know. So you have to think about a story, think about analogy. Yeah, so I think that would that's what something would make a persuasive presentation using data. Don't, on the back end, you have to rely completely on the data, but when you like present to them, don't show them the data. They don't care about it. So like show them a story, a beautiful story. I think that's what they really care about. Yeah, so that's the last question. Any other question? Okay, thank you.
Any
Thank you for the
question
thumbs up.
for? Okay, I think we have heard lots of advice and tips from our guest speaker today. And if there is no other questions, then maybe we can take a picture together with our guest speaker today. So can you turn the camera and they can have a group picture for today's session? And also because of today is the final session of our program in this semester. So let's take a picture together.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope I didn't take too long.
Okay, everyone ready? I will screenshot. You can too. Do it. Everyone say cheese. All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for
Thank you
tuning
for
in.
joining us today.
Thank you very much, Nia.
Awesome.
Thank you, Angway. It's been amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Just let me know if you have any other questions other time. Feel free to
Definitely would
ping
love
me.
to would love to connect with you. Thank you very much.
Sure. Okay, thank you. So I shall leave now if there's no other activities. Okay, thank you guys. Bye bye.
Okay, so I hope that you learned something useful from our guest speaker today. And next up, we have some announcement for you in their final session today. And for their project for our program, and please submit your pre-processed data and the visualizations for the used car data set that we sent you a few weeks ago. But we will send it later, maybe tomorrow for your convenience. And please submit your visualization pre-processed data and also some of your comments on about your findings to our AP Data Science email. And by August 15, so Professor Cluster will take a look on your submissions and give some comments. And then after that, the certificate of completion will be available and we will send the certificate to your email. Since we cannot have any ceremony to give certificate in Japan, Okay, so next announcement is about recruitment for team leaders and core members in the next semester. So as you might know that for this semester, AP Data Science only have two core members and two of us handle everything. So something that are not really efficient, and we apologize for that. But from the next semester, we want to make our club bigger and can spread and more accessible to other students as well, and also to spread the interest of data science to other students at APU. So together we can build a very strong and very how to say close club, and we can develop it to something bigger in the future. So even though I sent the survey to you asking who want to be team leaders and core members for the next semester, we will send it again, like in more details about the description of particular roles for you. And this recruitment will be open to even other students, but we will give prioritize for current members of this semester. Okay. All right. So, is there any question about the recruitment for first core members and also for the final project that you should submit?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Graham, my question about the final submission, like, um, I mean, both the file you want us to email you, right?
Yes. So, please pre-process the used car data set and then send the Excel file or CSV file to AP Data Science email. And also, please do some visualizations and make some dashboard using Tableau. And then make some comments like on what you think are interesting, and send the results to the email to AP Data Science email.
So this is the data set that you have sent at the last mail, right? The sales
Yes.
data set,
The used car data set.
used car data set, yeah.
Yeah.
And in regards to the recruitment, like whoever been applied or whoever been requested to join, so you will be just processing the request and give us a final, you know, announcement at September, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay, so there is no more activities in between, like for the recruitment from our side, right?
Okay.
Okay.
So Natasha, so for the requirements for the final project, right? So there's no special requirements for our final project, just preset your data using libraries like pandas and numpy that you have in our sessions. Also visualize the data that you have cleaned using Tableau. Anything you can do with Python Tableau, you can just go to the file, the Microsoft Word or PPT. It depends on you, and then send your um, send 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 it to the email. So there's no special requirements for that. Okay. All right. So if there is no question, then so since today is our last session, and I would like to invite our supervisor, Professor Classer William, to have some closing remarks to you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I want to thank everybody for coming to this, for lasting through for the whole set of seminars. I think it was an amazing, for me, it's amazing because I've been hoping that we would have something like this at APU for many years. And so I want to thank our host, our organizer, because he he just basically put the whole thing together himself and did, as you can see, just an amazing job. And he set up the website and organized the sessions all by himself. And he invited the speakers, everything. It was just really an amazing thing. As I said, I've been waiting for years for this to happen. And suddenly just happened because of his initiative. So anyway, but I want to thank everybody for coming. And I think that you get a taste of what the field is like. And there's lots and lots of resources on the internet. You know, if you just look up data science, and there's so many resources, so many courses, there are videos, and sort of, I think there's something called data, I forget. Anyway, there's just many, many forms of learning that you can participate in on the internet. And of course, at APU, we have a few courses, and we always want to get more students. And I would be happy to have people who are enthusiastic about the field to attend the classes. We have a intro to data mining, it's called. It should be called data science, but because it's an old class, it's still called data mining. We also have a special lecture that I give where we get into, usually either we're going to cover programming, probably in R, and kind of dive deep into how these, well, we didn't spend much time in this set of seminars, but how data mining or machine learning algorithms, how they actually work, and possibly even learn to actually code them, which is a very special thing to do. You don't get that in many courses anywhere on the internet, but how to actually code some of the machine learning algorithms. Or we, if we don't do that, we might set our sights on the mathematics behind some of the most powerful machine learning algorithms that involve the stuff that's behind deep learning. So we might study the math involved in that. So it depends on the semester what we do. And I believe there's also going to be a kind of finance and quantitative methods using Python. Maybe in the fall semester. That won't be something that I teach, but I heard that there may be, that may be offered in the fall. I'm not sure yet. And maybe if it's not in the fall, it might be in the spring. So you might want to look out for that as well. But anyway, thank you all for coming. And I think it was a great experience for everybody. And I encourage you to go further. And one site I'd like to, or there are so many sites, but one that I'd like to recommend is Khan Academy, which I know that some of you who are my students have been, have had to endure Khan Academy. But there's some very good material in Khan Academy. There's one course, it's very difficult. It's not easy at all, but Khan Academy does a very good job of teaching it and making it as easy as possible. And that is a course called Linear Algebra. That's not algebra. That's not the algebra that we learn in high school or junior high school or anything like that. That's nothing to do with that, basically. It's called Linear Algebra. And if you're really, if you really want to follow through on this in this field, you might want, well, if you really want to learn the technical stuff, you should take that course. But you don't need necessarily to do that unless you're going to be a very technical person. But anyway, that's one course. And then, as I said, there's many others. Okay, I'll stop now, and good luck to everybody.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank you, Professor, and thank you everyone for joining with us this semester. And it's my honor and our honor to have you all in the AP Data Science. I hope I will see you again next semester. Good luck with your final exam. Thank you so much. And leave now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Let's everybody turn on your, I did this the other day. Everybody turn on your microphone and let's give an applause. It's going to sound like a mess, but let's give an applause for our organizer who did such a great job, really amazing job.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Thành. See you guys soon.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you,